What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to this episode of One-on-One BG. I'm your host, BG, and let's go ahead and kind of recap the finally a victory. Regardless, it was over the Giants, but you know what? Doesn't matter. We won. We're back on track. Let's hope that this kicks off a win streak for us. So let's dive into this. All right. Tampa Bay goes into New York to play the Giants. We come out with a victory 30-7, facing the newly led Giants by Tommy DeVito. Mike Evans comes back. Huge defensive game by Kansas. I think he had 5 total sacks. It was incredible, fantastic game by him. Vita Vea had a great game. Defensively, again, we played the Giants, so not gonna get my hopes up too much for this win. Great win nonetheless. Not a whole lot of bad things to go over. We've struggled the last few weeks defensively. I think a game like this really helps us get back on track. On the flip side of that, the Giants, right? Looking at the stats, if you looked at the stats, Tommy DeVito didn't have a terrible day. I mean, they just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. So there's just that unfortunate thing for them. So not too much to really go over. I didn't bring any film with me, unfortunately, this week, so no real film breakdown. But just happy that we got a victory coming out of the bye week. We've struggled the last really like 5-6 weeks to get a win. I mean, we've been that close every week, one possession almost every week. Looking ahead to next week. Next week we have the Panthers, who haven't been as easy of a win in most games than they should be, compared to the beginning of the year, right? Beginning of the year, they were getting blown out by everybody. They almost took down the Chiefs last week. The Chiefs only won 38-27. I mean, they had the Chiefs on their heels. And it's a divisional game. I think it's just one of those things where, we can't go in underestimating an opponent, because that's how you mess around and lose. We're one game back from Atlanta now. Now that Atlanta has kind of lost a couple games, they just went into their bye week, so they're going to have a tougher part of their schedule coming out. It'll be interesting next week. I think we have, obviously, a very good chance to win. Obviously, it's a kickstart that we did this week to win against the Giants. Hopefully, that starts something where we can continue that win streak to the end of the year. Looking forward, so we have to play the Panthers twice, one of which is next week. We have to play the Saints again. I think we have Dallas and the Raiders, and the Chargers, I think, yet to play as well. So a very manageable back end stretch here for us. If our defense can play like they did last week or this past week, we're good. I think this week was a confidence builder for our defense. We had, Mike Edwards came back to the team. Happy to see him back in a Bucs uniform. I think Jamel Dean played. I didn't watch a whole lot of film. If he did, it's good to have him back. A lot of good things. Backfield, a lot of praise to Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving had a fantastic game. He had, I think, 100 yards from scrimmage, with a touchdown or 2 touchdowns or something like that. So he did really well. Sean Tucker had a touchdown. Rashad White had a touchdown. So our backfield is doing really well. That's very exciting to me, that our run game is really stepping up. So hopefully we can continue that as well. Other than that, guys, man, I mean, that's really all that I got. Short video. Again, I didn't have any film breakdown this week, unfortunately. Just not a whole lot of time. But, man, happy that I got to celebrate a victory Monday. Today's Tuesday, but happy that I got to celebrate the victory. Looking forward to starting a streak. And, I'll see you guys next week after the Panthers matchup. So be on the lookout for our Week 13 predictions when they come out from Big Sexy the Heel and myself. Also, stay tuned for other episodes like these after every Bucs game. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you follow us on all of our socials at KFRSPRTScast. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.